कर्माणि गयन्ति यस्मद् आदयः नयं विदन्ति तत्त्वेन तस्मै भगवते नमः। यस्यावतार कर्माणि गयन्ति यस्मद् आदयः नयं विदन्ति तत्त्वेन तस्मै भगवते नमः। यस्यावतार कर्माणि गयन्ति यस्मद् आदयः नयं विदन्ति तत्त्वेन तस्मै भगवते नमः। यस्यावतार कर्माणि गयन्ति यस्मद् आदयः नयं विदन्ति तत्त्वेन तस्मै भगवते नमः। यस्यावतार कर्माणि गयन्ति यस्मदादयः नयं विदन्ति तत्त्वेन तस्मै भगवते नमः। यस्यावतार कर्माणि गयन्ति यस्मद् आदयः नयं विदन्ति तत्त्वेन तस्मै भगवते नमः। यस्यावतार कर्माणि यस्मद् गयन्ति यस्मदादयः नयं विदन्ति तत्त्वेन तस्मै भगवते नमः। यस्य whose avatara incarnation karmani activities gayanti chant in glorification he indeed asmat adayah persons like us na do not yam whom vidanti no tadvena cent percent as he is tasmai unto him Bhagavate unto the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna Namaha respectful obeisances. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Sri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Let me offer our respectful obeisances unto that Supreme Personality of Godhead whose incarnations and activities are chanted by us for glorification though he can hardly be fully known as he is. Kindly repeat after me. Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto that Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose incarnations and activities are chanted by us for glorification, though he can hardly be fully known as he is. Purport. So, yeah. It is said that the transcendental name, form, quality, pastimes, paraphernalia, personality, etc., cannot possibly be perceived by the gross materialistic senses. But when the senses are purified by the process of hearing, chanting, remembering, and worshipping the lotus feet of the holy deity, etc., the Lord reveals himself proportionately to the advancement of the quality of devotional service. Ye yata mam prapadyante. One should not expect the Lord to be an order supplying agent who must be present before us as soon as we desire to see him. We must be ready to undergo the prescribed devotional duties, following the path shown by the predecessors in the disciplic succession from Brahma, Narada, and similar authorities. As the senses are progressively purified by bona fide devotional service, the Lord reveals his identity according to the spiritual advancement of the devotee. But one who is not in the line of devotional service can hardly perceive him simply by calculations and philosophical speculations. Such a hard worker can present a jugglery of words before an audience, but can never know the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his personal feature. The Lord has clearly stated in the Bhagavad Gita that one can know him only by devotional service. No one can know the Lord by any puffed up material process of challenge, but the humble devotee can please the Lord by his earnest devotional activities. Thus the Lord reveals himself proportionately before the devotee. Lord Brahma therefore offers his respectful obeisances as a bona fide spiritual master and advises us to follow the process of Sravana and Kirtana. Simply by this process, or simply by hearing and chanting the glories of the activities of the Lord's incarnation, one can certainly see within himself the identity of the Lord. We have already discussed this subject in Volume 1 of Srimad Bhagavatam in connection with this verse. Tatsradadhana munayu jnana vairagya yuktaya pasyantyatmani chatmanam bhaktya sruta grihitaya. Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text 12. The conclusion is that one cannot know the Supreme Personality of Godhead fully by any method, but he can be seen and felt partially by the devotional service process of hearing, chanting, etc. Translation again. Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto that Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose incarnations and activities are chanted by us for glorification, though he can hardly be fully known as he is. So there is one verse also explaining this point. Yatha Sri Krishna Namadi na bhavet grayam indriyae sevan mukhe iti vado swayam eva sparatyada. That one cannot understand the transcendental nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead through his material senses and material mind. We can only understand the Supreme Lord through the process of bhakti, or devotional service. And Prabhupada repeats also here what he mentioned in previous verses. You're translating a little bit? Okay. In the purport, Prabhupada is telling, uses that word, or is it? By earnest. The humble devotee can please the Lord by earnest devotional service. Earnest devotional service means by being very enthusiastic in performing devotional activity. So, just like in the Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna is explaining one can know about tattva. Tattva means the absolute truth. The first quality or prerequisite to know about the absolute truth, one must become humble. Pranipat. That verse is there in the 4th chapter. Tadvidi pranipatena Pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. Goal of life is to have this tattvadarshan. Darshan. Darshan means to see, to understand, to realize. Tattva. And Krishna, he is the Param Tattva. He is the supreme reality, supreme absolute truth. It means that by ordinary material way, by ordinary material intelligence, no one can understand Krishna. We can only understand Krishna by mercy of Krishna, by the kripa of Vaishnava, by the kripa of the acharyas, by the kripa, mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we can understand something, only something. So this is, of course, the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita also. That is why this process of bhakti, devotional service, is described as the only process, the only way to attract the attention of Krishna. Our success in life is when we can attract the attention of Krishna. How to attract this? How to attract the attention of Krishna? Krishna becomes attracted when we take interest in what he likes. Krishna becomes attracted when we render service to those living entities who are very dear to him. Just like the Brahmanas are very dear to Krishna. The Vaishnavas are very dear to Krishna. The cows are very dear to Krishna. So when we serve the Brahmanas, when we serve the Vaishnavas, when we serve the cows, Dharma is very dear to Krishna also. Dharma, the principles of Dharma, when we follow the principles of Dharma, of course, the essence of Dharma is given. Prabhupada was asking one devotee, I will ask the same question. Small test. What is the most important chapter of the Bhagavad Gita? There are how many chapters in the Bhagavad Gita? No. Chaitanya, how many chapters in the Bhagavad Gita? But it is easy to remember. How many days was the battle of Kurukshetra? How many days the battle of Kurukshetra? 18, yes. So as many days Battle of Kurukshetra has many chapters in the Bhagavad Gita, 18 chapters. So out of 18 chapters, which one is the most important chapter? 1, 2, 3, 4. Which one? Prabhupada, he was asking this one devotee. This one devotee was like a new devotee from India. But actually, if somebody is born in a Vaishnava family, he's not a new devotee. From birth, he is practicing. So this one devotee came to Vrindavan to meet Prabhupada. I was telling about him the other day. And already he knows so many things. So Prabhupada asked him, what is the most important chapter of the Bhagavad Gita? Immediately he said, chapter number 9. We should know. Chapter number 9 is the most important chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Then, second question, what is the most important verse of that chapter of the Bhagavad Gita? That also we should know. Most important verse because it is also repeated twice. Most important verse of the Bhagavad Gita of chapter 9 is the last verse, which is verse number 34. Because in this verse, Krishna summarizes, makes it very easy. Only 4 things we have to remember. 1, 2, 3, 4. Manmana bhavamad bhakto mamyaji mam namaskuru mami vaishasi yuktvaivam atmanam mat parayanaha. So that devotee, he said, the last verse in the chapter 9, most important. Prabhupada was very happy. Immediately he knew. So, Krishna is explaining what are the 4 things. Manmana, always think about Krishna. Always try to remember Krishna. Manmana, number 1. Bhava mad bhakto. Mad bhakta, you become my devotee. Devotee means one who is engaged in so many activities. Serving Krishna, serving Krishna's devotees, like that. Manmana, bhavamad bhakto, mamyaji. Mamyaji means, supposed to be worshipping. Okay, after. Mamyaji means to worship. Every day, offering flower to the Lord, offering bhoga, prasadam, cleaning the altar. Today, Chaitanya not cleaning the altar. Cleaning the altar. So that is number 3. 1, remember Krishna, thinking of Krishna always. 2, becoming devotee of Krishna. 3, worshipping Krishna. Then, namaskuru, offering obeisances, dandavats. We can offer physical dandavat or mentally, by mind. When we offer prayers. So this is the translation. Engage your mind always in thinking of me. Offer obeisances and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. Yeah. So we can only go to Krishna if we attract the attention of Krishna. We can only go to Krishna if we learn to please Krishna. When we please someone, that person becomes very happy. And when we give something to someone, that person wants to give something to us. That is reciprocation. So this is being mentioned here, and Prabhupada quotes a very important verse from the first canto of the Bhagavatam, chapter number 2, which is entitled Divinity and Divine Service. So divinity and divine service, that is a very important chapter, one of the most important chapters in the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. So in this chapter text number 12. Okay. This chapter is having so many nice verses. Prabhupada is quoting here, Tats Sradadhana Munayo Jnana Vairagya Yuktaya Pashantyatmani Chatmanam Bhaktya Sruta Grihitaya, which is translated, the seriously inquisitive student or sage we are quoting this verse from Bhagavad Gita, Tadvidi Panipratena, Tadvidi Pranipatena, Pariprashnena, Prashna means question, to be inquiring, to have what is called inquisitive mind. Sometimes in small children, they will ask, Mummy, what is this? Mummy, what is that? Mummy, what is that? This is very good sign. If one is not inquisitive, one should be, human life is meant to be inquisitive. Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Now, that is in Vedanta Sutra, the first instruction, first aphorism. Now that we have acquired this human form of life, primary purpose to inquire about what is life, what is the purpose of life, isn't it? So, this verse that Prabhupada is quoting, the seriously inquisitive student or sage, well equipped with knowledge and detachment. Knowledge and detachment. Automatic comes actually. Jnana Vairagya. Jnana Vairagya. Another verse in the Bhagavatam. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janayati Ashu Vairagyam Jnanam Sayad Ahaitukam. Vairagya, detachment, Jnanam, knowledge, automatically, naturally come. One doesn't have to spend so many years in college and university. Our process is different. Nowadays you have to pay so much, lakhs and lakhs of rupees to get some certificate. Now you are a learned person, but that is not the process recommended. Knowledge, transcendental knowledge becomes, it is actually given, it is revealed to those who are inquisitive. Those who are inquisitive and those who are engaged in earnest devotional service. Earnest. What's another word for earnest? Earnest. Like very strong, very with great determination, earnest. You can look it up in your dictionary. Earnest. Synonym for earnest. So, just to finish the translation here of the text that Prabhupada is quoting, the seriously inquisitive student or sage, well equipped with knowledge and detachment, realizes that absolute truth. How does he realize that absolute truth? by rendering devotional service in terms of what he has heard from the Vedanta Shruti. Shruti. Shruti means to hear. Smriti. Smriti means to remember. Shruti and Smriti, both are necessary. Shruti, Smriti, Purana Adi. Pancharatra Vidim Vina. There is one verse explaining how we must hear from especially Vedic literatures. And the text actually just before this one is another famous, most important, very important verse. Vadanti tat tattva vidas tattvam yad jnanamadvayam brahmiti paramatmiti bhagavan iti sabjate. Learned transcendentalists who know the absolute truth call this non-dual substance Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagavan. So this is our process. Did you find a synonym?
I saw in Bengali.
Bengali.
Antarika.
Antarika.
Yes. In English it says seriously in depth.
Seriously?
In depth of
In depth, in depth. Okay, deeply.
yes.
Yeah, deeply. Deeply absorbed in remembering the Lord, deeply absorbed in rendering a service, means with attention also, not mechanically, not whimsically, not artificially, from the soul, from the heart.
Serious-minded, grave.
Seriously minded, grave, yes. Devotee means someone who is grave and silent. But how does Prabhupada describe silent? Silent means not speaking nonsense. Silent means one can be silent if he speaks about Krishna 24 hours a day. He is silent. Means to be silent about Maya. To be silent about what is not connected or related to Krishna. Yes.
This is they talking Telugu, right?
Huh?
Telugu. And you can read Telugu here? On the
Or in Telugu? Gambir. Gambir.
Deep means Gambira.
Ambir.
Gambira.
Gambira. Yeah, Gambir. Yes. Full.
Deep.
Full. Full. Yes. Yes. So this is a prayer, continuing prayer of Lord Brahma that I'll just repeat here for those who came late. And even for those who did not come late, because we generally forget very quickly. Text 38, let us offer our respectful obeisances unto that Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose incarnations and activities are chanted by us for glorification, though he can hardly be fully known as he is. That is the prayer also of Anantasesh. Anantasesh, who's having thousands of tongues, unlimited tongues, and is praying that since time immemorial, he has been glorifying with his thousands and thousands of tongues, has been glorifying the Lord without repeating, without repeating the glorifications, finding new and new ways to glorify. Yeah. So that is that falls in the category of unlimited, isn't it? As devotees, we are not happy. Actually, no one actually is. Also, everyone can experience. No one is actually satisfied. No one can be satisfied with the limited, whatever pleasure of this material world. No one can be satisfied. Even people accumulate so much of wealth. People who are millionaires. Nowadays, it's very easy to become a millionaire, they say. Nowadays, it's like billionaire. Billionaire is the standard. But even billionaires, billionaire means many millions. So even billionaires are not fully, cannot be fully happy or satisfied. Because by nature we are unlimited and eternal. Therefore, our desire, our level of satisfaction can only be on that level of eternality and unlimitedness, we can say, yeah. So in that sense, there is no end to knowing and understanding the Supreme Lord, and therefore, since time immemorial, that process has been ongoing, and that process is the standard recommended process to attract the attention of the Lord, as Prabhupada mentions at the end of the purport, especially by hearing about Him, by speaking about Him. Therefore, the process of Sravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. The natural sequence, the natural effect will be the more we hear, the more we engage in Sravanam, and also the more we speak about Kirtanam, naturally the more we will Smaranam, be able to remember, Vishnu Smaranam. So this is the beginning process of bhakti or devotional service. As we perform those activities also, if we are attentive, during those selected periods or moments of the day when we are meant to focus on hearing, then automatically that purification process will be taking place. So, yeah, this is being and the last point Prabhupada mentions here, of course, is that how much we can understand or know the Lord will be proportionate to how much we surrender, how much we are able to attract that mercy of the Lord. The Lord is completely independent, but He is generally reciprocating. There are three, three ways by which we can actually advance in Krishna consciousness. Three ways by which one can become siddha, siddhi, those who attain perfection of life. Param siddhi, of course, is to fully realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, those living entities who never come in the material world, they are known as Nitya Siddha, eternally siddhas, eternally realized, eternally perfect. So these are the two broad categories, Nitya Siddha, and then those who are eternally conditioned, Nitya Baddha. But fortunately, any Nitya Baddha can also become like Nitya Siddha by taking the process of sadhana. So then he becomes sadhana siddha. Sadhana siddha. This is the general process. So what are the three siddhas? Nitya siddha, then sadhana siddha. And there's a third one, number 3. What is number 3? Gurukul, they should know this. Nitya siddha, sadhana siddha, and kripa siddha. Kripa, by the mercy. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in Vrindavan, in Jagannath Puri, when he was in Jagannath Puri, that is nicely narrated in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. The king, at that time, King Prataparudra, had a very strong desire to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because he himself was a great devotee, Vaishnava king. Kings are meant to be, they used to be, Vaishnavas, followed Dharma. So anyway, he had a great desire to meet, but Lord Chaitanya, he refused to meet him because he was a king. He did not want to give bad example that the sadhu should not closely associate with kings, because generally kings are not Vaishnavas. In any event, there's a whole lila in that respect. But finally, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after being requested many, many times by his devotees, please, King Prataparudra, he said he will leave his kingdom and become a mendicant if he doesn't get your mercy. So finally it was arranged that, okay, Lord Chaitanya, he said, I will not meet the king, but I will meet his son. Like father, like son. So if I meet the son, it will be like meeting the king. So it was arranged that the son of King Prataparudra, one day he came, it was arranged that he would take darshan of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and because King Prataparudra already Vaishnava, so naturally the boy was dressed as Vaishnava, wearing very nice tilak, and Sika also was tied up. And he was a young boy, maybe 12, 14 years of age. And so he came to where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was staying, and he offered his dandavats to Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya, just by seeing this young boy, he remembered, because Lord Chaitanya was always remembering Krishna. So immediately seeing this young boy, he reminded him of, Krishna, Navayovanam, who is eternally youthful. And so when the boy got up, the Lord Chaitanya embraced him. He was very happy to see the son of King Prataparudra. And simply by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by embracing this young boy, so many very senior associates of Lord Chaitanya were there, and they saw that this boy immediately developed symptoms of ecstatic symptoms that are only generally possible when one is at the highest, topmost level. He began to cry, his body began to tremble, the hairs on his body stood up, all of the ecstatic symptoms that are described of someone who is fully absorbed in devotion to the Lord. And so everyone was amazed. This was an example of kripa, kripa siddha, that by the special mercy of the Lord, or the special mercy of the Lord's devotee, someone very, very quickly can make some advancement in spiritual life. That is generally quite rare, so we should stick to sadhana, to the process of sadhana. Yeah. So any comments or questions on this? Huh? Nitya Siddha. What does it mean? Why you're interested in Nitya Siddha? Yes. Nitya Siddha. Nitya Siddha means, just like one time someone asking Prabhupada, like people ask us sometimes, when did you come to Krishna consciousness? Somebody actually dared to ask that to Prabhupada. When did you come to Krishna consciousness? Prabhupada replied, I don't remember a time when I have ever forgotten Krishna. So Nitya Siddha means someone who has never forgotten Krishna. Nitya Siddha means he is fully 100%, 108%, or 200% fully engaged in devotional service, always remembering the Lord, who is fully realized and who has always been engaged in his what is called Swarup Siddhi. Swarup Siddhi. We all have a personal relationship with Krishna, our eternal, individual, personal relationship with Krishna. That is Nitya Siddha. So Nitya Siddha, they are in Vaikuntha. Sometimes, but very rarely, sometimes a few, very few, may come in the material world. Yeah. The Goswamis of Vrindavan are described as Nitya Siddha. So Nitya Siddha, simply by coming in contact with such personalities, then this Bhakti Lata Bij becomes awakened. Brahmanda Brahmiti Kono Bhagyavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasadi Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. Yeah. Okay, I think we need to close for now. Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jai Sri Prabhupada ki.